Hi guys, I decided to do my project one on the Noli map, also known as the Large Plan of Rome originally. Um, yeah, let's get right into it. So, created by Giambattista Noli in 1748, the Large Plan of Rome is an extraordinary example of a cartographic masterpiece which far exceeded the craftsmanship, precision, skill, and artistry of its time. It's composed of 12 meticulously engraved plates, each approximately 80 by 54 centimeters, and with all 12 assembled, that means it's about 6 by 7 feet large. The design reflects a blend of scientific accuracy and artistic talent, embodying both historical grandeur of Rome as well as the intellectual achievements of its time. So Noli's map is very visually impressive with a scroll-like format around the edges, um, distinguishing the central depiction of the city from the map's borders. The borders themselves feature decorative elements along with medallions representing the 14 rioni, or districts of Rome, that were redefined by the Pope Benedict, in 1744. The lower section of the map depicts cherubic figures called puto that serve not just as decorative but also informative elements. Prominent among them is the first puto, who carves the coat of arms of Pope Benedict XIV, the patron of this monumental project, as we'll come to see. And Giambattista pays homage to the Pope by recognizing him in this way. The putti in the center, which emphasize the map's orientation. Interestingly enough, this map aligns with magnetic north rather than the astronomical north, which was traditional at the time. So this was a significant departure from the norm and wouldn't have been possible without the surveying techniques that Noli used. We can see an architectural scale depicted in front of the pedestal that displays the Roman palmo, which is a traditional unit of measurement equivalent to 223.4 millimeters. And we can see at the bottom, the scale of the map is 1 to 2,900, which just goes to show the precision and accuracy of the map and Noli as a surveyor. So in the lower left corner of the border, we can see a scene that represents ancient Rome, featuring legendary or historical figures such as the river god of the Tiber and the personification of the city, which we can see there in yellow. Surrounding them are ruins and monuments, including Trajan's Column, the Colosseum, the Arch of Constantine, and the Temple of Jupiter, each etched with remarkable detail and precision. And all of these symbols really are there to represent Rome's glorious history as well as its pagan past compared to what we'll see in the modern times on the next slide here. So over here in the bottom right corner, we can see what Noli wanted to depict of modern Rome. And we can see here in yellow, the living personification of the city receiving the papal crown from the cherubs. And in the background, this is all framed by contemporary landmarks such as St. Peter's Basilica, the Campia de Glo, and St. John's Lateran. This scene celebrates the triumph of Christianity over paganism and that ancient past. It's a clever feat of artistic symbolism by Noli, and the juxtaposition of these two corners really illustrates Rome's symbolic tug of war between antiquity and modernity. And we can obviously see a heavy nod to the church's ascension and Rome's urban evolution here, which we will see was influenced quite a bit later on. So Pope Benedict commissioned the map in 1736 for urban planning and administrative purposes. We can obviously see it took quite a bit longer until 1748 to complete the map. So 12 years of surveying went into getting all of the accurate measurements and locations and everything needed to produce the map. Pope Benedict XIV was a distinguished scholar and patron of the arts, and he really wanted to create a accurate representation of Rome, the most accurate representation to date. In this journey, Noli set new standards for cartography with his use of figure ground representation, as we can see in the right there. This is basically the use of highlighting open civic spaces, such as St. Peter's Square and the Pantheon, which marks a departure from earlier conventional cartography, where these spaces would not have been represented. So obviously there was a lot of stuff going on at the time. It was a very transitional period for Rome. But I believe the main goals that Pope Benedict as well as Noli wanted to really drive home with this map was, first of all, celebrating architectural heritage and the history of the city. Second of all, showcasing urban improvement of the time. There was a lot of urban improvement going on, and this time of kind of the shift from ancient to modern Rome, there was a lot of development, and they really wanted to showcase that. And the third reason would be to endorse Enlightenment values. As I mentioned before, Pope Benedict was a scholar, and not only was he a man of God, but he did value these Enlightenment ideas, and therefore we can see this kind of overall transition where the church accepts these Enlightenment values along with their religion. And then last of all would be to encourage tourism and pilgrimage. Obviously, they wanted to show Rome as the grand and great city that it is, attract people from all over the world to come and visit the city, and really just showcase its grandeur. Now, while the map definitely achieved those goals that Noli and Pope Benedict set out, there's also some hidden histories going on that may have gotten forgotten. First of which is the obvious political and religious undertones. While Noli's map appears to be a neutral scientific document, it subtly reinforces the dominance of religious and political power in Rome. You can see on the right here in red, prioritizing churches, plazas, and public monuments. In detail and prominence, it reflects the influence that the Catholic Church did have and the authority of the Pope. Obviously, these decisions aligned with the preferences of Pope Benedict, who supported and commissioned the project. But the map's exclusion or downplaying of marginalized or informal spaces suggests a selective framing of urban life. Second of which is the overall struggle of the elite versus the labor. And the map was created through exhaustive surveying, which we discussed before, 12 years, involving thousands of assistants and laborers, many of which whose contributions remain uncredited. And this omission parallels broader historical trends where the intellectual achievements of elite figures generally overshadowed the manual and technical work of the masses, particularly artisans and non-elite workers involved in these large-scale projects. And the last of which is the ignorance of poverty, as well as the city's marginalized spaces. These spaces are pretty much all but omitted, and we do not see any informal housing or underground economic activities. For instance, temporary markets, vernacular dwellings, and other encroachments in urban spaces. This reflects the broader social hierarchies and the priorities of those commissioning the work. Obviously, the Pope, the Church, and the governance of Rome. They didn't want to acknowledge this poverty in their city. They wanted to show it as the best city it could be in all of its glory, and kind of aligning with those goals that we discussed earlier. These vernacular spaces and informal spaces were omitted for that purpose. Well, I think, sorry about that, but yeah, as I was saying, that's pretty much it for me here. I hope you guys enjoyed my little visual essay. Um, I will have my paper posted in Canvas as well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Have a great one.